Wikeism and its threat to Nigerian democracy. Now, wow. So I know that Akpabio, when he was the governor of Akwa Ibom State, his own politics is called Akpabioism. Okay, and when Buhari was the government as the president, they call his economic approach as Buharinomics. Now, Wike has now come out now, and now his own system and approach to politics has been nicknamed Wikeism. And what is particular or what is peculiar about this Wikeism, and how is it a threat to Nigerian democracy? Let's dive into the details to understand what is happening here. The fixation of philosophical and political thinkers to the suffix "isms" is an interesting one. I got my own fixation by reading to my father's words, having that concluding jargon due to glaucoma that came in later life. God rest his soul. So the fixation of philosophical and political thinkers to the suffix "ism" is an interesting one. I got my own fixation by reading to my father's words, having that concluding jargon due to glaucoma that came in later life. God rest his soul. The suffix is literally used to convey an ideology, beliefs, thoughts, or movement. Today, the most modern and strongest political ideology in the world, with that addition in my view, is Trumpism. Sadly, Trumpism, like the emerging Wikeism, portends no good for the future of democracy. Okay, so it's comparing Tinubu, Wike's behavior to Donald Trump's behavior in the United States. So unlike Donald Trump, Wike cannot be said to be an ignoramus to the nuances of partisan politics and democratic governance, having served twice as local government chairman in Rivers State, also served as chief of staff in the same state, served as minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria at the center, and was also elected twice as governor of the cosmopolitan Rivers people, even though his road to the government house, especially on the first leg, did not come without controversy. The political rascality of what is now Wikeism would have since been over if not for the Supreme Court judgment that savaged his political destiny in 2015. There was a widespread rumor after that election that he would not contest in a rerun, which the verdict of the lower court had been affirmed by the Apex Court. So while the number of votes garnered by Wike in 2019 governorship election in the Rivers might appear saner, unlike the 2015, the margin of victory to the runner-up in the latter appeared quite extraordinary, despite the harsh obstacles put on his path towards that victory. He had by this time been able to work his way into the hearts of his people by delivering what the majority considered at the time as dividend of democracy. Wike clearly was a very fortunate young man that rose quickly after school, through the corridors of political power, indicative of his ambitions and combative nature. The political exits of office of both Amechi and Jonathan respectively gave Wike the impetus to assert himself at the pinnacle of authority of his political party, now the opposition party. The sacking of all his commissioners was for the beginning of Wikeism. These commissioners were considered to be loyal team of support that shielded him from the absence of political cover at the center. The next significant factor is not as expected in his defeat in the PDP presidential primaries in 2023, but rather in his supposed passed over for the vice presidential slot of the party, which brought out the nastiest side of his brand of political philosophy. With the benefit of hindsight, that may perhaps be a blessing in disguise for not being the PDP, but also the country due to the damaging consequences of the politics and influence he has been asserting afterwards. So his political dexterity, using the same number of governors led out of PDP by Atiku under Jonathan, which resulted to the latter's defeat in 2015, equally led to the downfall of Atiku in the 2023 polls without even the need of leaving the party. Now, let me add that by the usage of the word dexterity, I do not necessarily mean fitness. The defection of 27 members of the Nigerian State House of Assembly loyal to Wike to the opposition party, the resignation of some key commissioners in the state, and the burning and demolition of the assembly complex, all happening barely 6 months after inauguration of the Fubara administration, further betrayed the kind of garage godfatherism and politics that defines Wikeism as a political brand. Hey. Oh boy. So Wike's overbearing political atrocities are boundless. He is notorious for being a man who says one thing politically and does the exact opposite. Wikeism, as far as many political observers are concerned, is toxic and brand of politics and influence. Oh boy, it's a toxic brand of politics and influence. It is no surprise that it is only Mr. Wike and the sycophants around him that does not see it as such. Even some members of the ruling party he has been hobnobbing with openly attest to this fact. Oh boy. So what is happening here is that Wikeism is toxic and it is inimical to Nigerian nascent democracy. Wike must be held accountable for what becomes of democracy in Rivers State and by extension the country, as it is now crystal clear that the Rivers State governor is a placeholder for the real governor of the state even after election. Governor Siminalayi Fubara has an uphill task of disproving that he is not a proxy governor. Wikeism has the implication of encouraging more governors and godfathers to redouble the audacities in preserving their political hegemony in their respective states. Regardless of whatever happens ultimately, we can as well begin to kiss what we consider as democracy goodbye in this country, if the best we can get are mere opportunities without any iota of principle riding on the back of their political patrons into public offices. Okay, so what this guy has succeeded in writing is that Wikeism is a form of politics that is toxic and also inimical to Nigerian democracy. Wikeism is compared to Trumpism. Okay, unfortunately, Wikeism has no strategy, has no style, is very violent, and is very brutal, and does not consider anything. Is also very selfish. So now, this writer is trying to see how that Wikeism can be controlled if Nigeria must move forward. So thank you for listening. There are a few comments here. Let me take a few of these comments. Somebody said, in the program of God, you are the next to rise for God in this generation. You are the next gospel general for this generation. Remember, you can only make impact when you genuinely give your life to Christ and be born again. Wow, that's on your own. All these hungry lawyers and writers, when it didn't favor them, they write nonsense. Thank you. The man I admire is tough man. Okay, you admire Wike. God help you. Okay, so thank you for listening, and let's have your comment about this Wikeism.